Hi, today I wanted to talk about reasons boundaries are hard to set based on my experiences. Thank you for joining Bright Boundaries again and for listening. I hope you are learning a lot from my experiences. I have felt called to do this, and I'm slowly but surely getting the hang of all of this YouTube thing. And I think I like it. Um, I didn't always wanted a YouTube channel, but I figured at some point in time, my brain was doing a lot of overthinking and I was constantly having conversations in my head. And then I started writing, and then it was just my writing couldn't keep up between writing on my phone, texting, typewriting, and then actually writing with a pen or a pencil in my journal. It's like I felt like my brain was going faster than my fingers could go, and I was just like, okay, I need another outlet. Stuff is coming too fast and furious, and I need to get it out. So this is where we're at. So reasons boundaries are hard to set. Number one, in my experience, is people pleasing, which is the fear of pissing people off, and this whole notion of people not liking you, if you set boundaries or have standards or expectations. So a people pleaser, I want to almost say 9 times out of 10, they have hypertension, high blood pressure. I can almost guarantee you that there's some kind of health issue that they have. And listen, whether you're a people pleaser or not, and you have a health issue or not, if you don't have an health issue, you're going to develop one, because you need to have boundaries. People pleasers overextend themselves. People pleasers don't get enough rest. And I'm not just talking about for their bodies, but even for their minds. It's always racing. If you're a true people pleaser, you're going to worry about, oh, you're always going to have the conversation. But if I say no, maybe they won't let me come to their daughter's wedding, or my girlfriend may not invite me out again, or they will be so. Listen, you can't save everybody, but you can save yourself. That's all I got to say about people pleasers. As I go along with this channel, I'll tell you more about people pleasing. But that's number one as far as I know when it comes to reasons for not setting boundaries. I would say number one, besides before people pleasing, I have a list here and I know I'm straying, but sorry, forgive me. I would say the overall number one, overarching number one, is that most people don't even realize they need to have boundaries. They just, I don't know, weird people, but they just have no clue. But for me and my experience, the number one reasons why boundaries are hard to set is people pleasing. Fear of pissing people off, fear of not being liked, and just scaredy cat. Punk. Anyway, number two, beliefs and value systems. The whole notion of honor your mother and your father so your days may be long. Neglecting the part that also says mother and father or parents do not provoke your children to wrath. Yeah, we get stuck on honoring our mother and our father, even when they're dishonoring us. Yeah, I know all about that. And so the first people I had to exercise boundaries with were with my own parents, starting with my mama. Yes, starting with my mama. It wasn't the easiest thing to do. I did it up until the day she passed away. I was still trying to hold on to my boundaries with her. But, again, it's that dynamic where she feels that she's a mother, or even my own dusty devil dad. If you haven't listened to any previous recordings to see where our relationship is at, I no longer refer to him as my father because he's been very dishonoring, especially in front of my children, which would be his grandchildren. So he's Dusty Devil Dad. So yeah, exercising a lot of boundaries and standards and expectations with him right now. So, and been doing it all my life. But yeah, so besides honoring your mother and your father, we grew up with the notion of respecting our elders, as I don't even know, like this high moral code. I remember growing up in the islands and having to say good morning, sir, or ma'am, or, um, and it was cute. It was great. I mean, I liked it. I didn't have a problem with it. But when the elders don't show you that respect, um, I had a problem with that. And I'm not talking about when they wouldn't return the favor of saying good morning or whatever. I'm talking about beyond that. I'm talking about just disrespectful, like not. What's an example? Because people didn't really play with me because I've been feisty since I've known myself, since I came out the womb. But, all right, with me, it was violating my personal space. I was objectified a lot because of how I looked. Oh, you're so pretty. She's so cute. Oh my God. Da, da, da. I would literally push people out of my face. Yes, I would. I don't care who you were. Old enough to be my mama or whatever, granddaddy, grandmommy. I'm pushing you out of my face. I'm sorry. Like, you're violating. So yeah. I didn't hold on to that belief or value system as far as respecting and honoring if I was being dishonored. I didn't do it, but those are the reasons why people have a hard time setting boundaries because, it's my mom, it's my dad. They brought me into this world. How could I ever set boundaries to them? I mean, they could beat me up all they want. They could terrorize me and traumatize me for the rest of my life. And then I end up on a couch healing from it and being miserable and whatever for the rest of my life. I'm not making fun, but this is how a lot of people really do think. And I'm saying, fuck you to that because I'm not doing it. Okay? This is how you break cycles, all right? Breaking beliefs and value systems. You got sometimes beliefs and value systems need to be broken, all right? For your peace of mind. And if you have children, you need to do it for them. I'm just saying. Number 3 of why it's hard to set boundaries: religion. My favorite. Turn the other cheek, forgive and forget. I don't think the Bible says forgive and forget, but I know it says something about forgiveness. And something about not judging. But I'm not a scripture girl. But if there's a scripture I know, I'm gonna hold on to it and I'll tell you about it. But there's so many things that people have misinterpreted in the Bible and based on religion, where it tells you to turn the other cheek and you're not supposed to judge, even though that's not what it really says. It says, judge not that ye shall not be judged. Something like that. Where's my other phone? I really should be doing a better job at this. But I'm gonna go into the whole judgment thing. I need to really hone in on the whole judging thing because I believe that we should judge, but judge righteously and not religiously, but righteously, meaning the right way, the correct way. Proper judgment is necessary. I mean, my God, you driving, you gotta have proper judgment if you're gonna merge into another lane, if you're gonna make it home safe. You gotta have proper judgment when you're crossing the street. Look up, look down, look up again, or whatever, or down again, and then you cross. This whole idea of not judging people is so annoying to me because this is again another reason why we end up in a lot of problems because he seems like a nice person. You see a red flag and you're like, I don't want to judge. I don't want to judge. Judge the red flag, damn it. Like, we just go around talking about, I don't judge people. And somebody's acting like a maniac. They're cool 1 minute and then they're flipping out the next. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to judge. Maybe he's going through something. Yeah, and you might be the next person he's going through with his fist. Stop playing with people. Okay? You see the kind of world we're living in now? You need to exercise judgment when it comes to people in your life. So tired of it. So yeah, religion is another reason why it's difficult to set boundaries. And of course, if you were raised in the church and around religion, you probably have been brainwashed or brain stained, whichever is worse, because you were taught that whole forgiveness bit and to look up to your pastor and allow him to fondle you. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But I mean, if he does that and you don't hold him accountable because you want to forgive him and God will take care of him, then, I'm just saying, like, I'm sorry. But yeah, religion is a reason why it's hard for people to set boundaries. And yeah, there it goes. So that's number 3. Number 4, self-interest. This one was always, like interesting to me with my mom. I don't think my mom understood boundaries. I just know that she was feisty, and when she didn't agree with something, she'll let you know. But I don't think she knew. I mean, I'm sure she had basic boundaries. I mean, we all have a certain amount of basic boundaries, like don't come in my personal space, whatever, whatever. But self-interest, and it's something I've seen with my mom, which is wanting to be viewed a certain way by people to gain access to opportunities or people. It's a little different from people pleasing because it's all about image and an agenda, and they can easily shut that off easier than a people pleaser. Yeah, people pleasers are more hardwired. A person who has self-interest, like, they want to have access to a person, even if, okay, perfect example of boundaries not being set. R. Kelly and them people whose knucklehead parents brought their daughters to him to help them with their music career. I mean, AKA pimping, whatever, right? That's the perfect self-interest. That's like I didn't even see it coming. It just fell in my head, and I'm just letting it out. Okay, so no need for boundaries, because here I have my daughter. This is R. Kelly. He gonna make her a superstar or whatever, the next Aaliyah, and I don't care how she gets to be the next Aaliyah, even though Aaliyah didn't care how she became the next Aaliyah, which is through R. Kelly as well. But yeah, we don't care either. We're just going to pimp our daughters. I mean, take our daughter to R. Kelly, knowing what we heard many, many years ago, that he was sus for doing some really creepy stuff to young girls. Yeah. So they had self-interest. So boundaries, please. No, they said, here, have my children, have my girls, do what you may, make them a store. Number 5, fear of being feared or looked at as rude. This kind of goes into some semblance of people pleasing, because ultimately people pleasers fear that whole idea of being looked at as, well, not being liked. Sorry, that's it. This one, number 5, for me personally, is fear of being feared or looked at as rude is me. I'm sorry, I'm talking about myself. Number 5 is me, people, which I don't fear being feared or looked at as being rude. I don't. But because people have a certain trepidation towards me, because, they know I'll tell them where to go. And I don't care if they look at me as being rude, especially if they violated. Okay? I can be rude, but I don't consider it rude if you violated a boundary, or, like, was rude first. Like, hello. Anyway, so I'm basically saying Number 5, fear of being feared or looked at as rude. This makes it hard to set a boundary because, like me, being assertive, most times because people took my meekness and kindness for weakness, now they see me as mean when I put my foot down and check people. Yes, they do. But ultimately, I'm being clear. Like it says in Matthew 5, verse 37, it says, simply let your yes be yes and your no be no. Anything more comes from the evil one. So I don't muddy the waters. I keep it straight. One thing with Wendy Williams, one of her quotes when she was on the radio before, I don't think I've ever heard her say it on when she came on television. But one of Wendy's famous quotes for me when she was on the radio is straight talk leads to straight understanding. And that's how I keep it, very straight and blunt. So when you don't mean yes because you want to say no, it's self-betrayal. I believe that. And deception. It sure is. This creates a burden upon yourself and you are setting up the person you are also deceiving. Yeah. So you're making yourself unreliable and you're also creating resentment, which is evil. Okay? So let me kind of break that down. If somebody asks you to do something, right, that you don't want to do, but you don't want to say no, right? Or that's not a good idea. Well, you don't want to say, actually, no, I'm going to give a different example for number 5 because it's fear of being feared or looked at as being rude. Perfect example. I'm going to do the fear of being feared or looked at as rude. I remember I met this man. I was at a club, popular club in New York City. And he saw me, older man, old enough to be, he looked like Uncle Fester. I'm just saying, like a more classy Uncle Fester. The way he looked at me the minute I walked through the door, I was saying to myself, like, he looking for something. He want something. Eventually, he found me in the club. I passed him, and I think he tried to reach out to me and grab me, and I shrugged him off because I don't like nobody touching me. Don't do that. So I shrugged him off. Finally, he caught up with me, I don't remember, at some point in the club, and he gave me his card, told me he was somebody important, like, okay, whatever. Um, he told me I had to look to be a model, and he could, whatever. I've been approached like that many a times. For some strange reason, at this time, I was in between jobs. I actually used to work down by the World Trade Center before it blew up. I'm glad I decided to quit because it was literally a year later it blew up. And if I didn't quit at the time I quit, I would have still been working there because that was a great job. I literally was across the street from the two towers. I think the building I was in was the lower one. I wasn't working in the twin towers, but I was right next to that building. Thank God the people I knew that worked there didn't go to work that day or was on their way when it happened, and thank God their lives were spared. I really don't know anyone off the top of my head that passed at 9/11, but during 9/11, but yeah. So anyway, so I had quit that job and took a sabbatical, was all over the place, and so I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do because that was a real corporate job. That was the last time I ever took a corporate job because I was like, this is so not me. I need to exercise my boundaries and I need to tell people where to go, and you just can't do that in a corporate environment most of the time. So anyway, so this man, I was like, oh, this opportunity keeps coming up. People keep coming up to me about modeling. Let me see. Let me try him out. So we finally eventually met up I don't remember how long after I met him at the club. And he he comes and picks me up and we go for a ride. he starts to tell me, I'm right away want to get down to business because he's, I forgot, he also was, the reason I even went anywhere with him was because I actually, based on the card he gave me, I found out who he was. So he was somebody somewhat important, whatever. So I trusted him enough because I told people who he was and where I was going and the times and all of that stuff. So yeah, I didn't go anywhere with no random stranger or whatever that I didn't know, and like, no. So without having my support system or people know where the hell I'm going, I don't play. This was in the late 90s, so you know. Anyway, so he starts telling me about opportunities, and I'm getting interested, and I'm saying, okay, well, what do I need to do? The man tells me, one hand don't clap. Now, that's the first I'd ever heard that saying. One hand don't clap. I said, well, okay. I see that. And then he really explained himself, and I was like, oh, like that? So I took his hand and I slapped his hand across his cheek and I said, that sounds like a clap. That sounds like a clap. Doing it to myself. This is how crazy I was. That sounds like a clap. His eyes got so wide and he's like, oh, you're a smarty. You're a smart one. I'm like, don't ever tell me about no one hand clap crap. I said, you ain't getting no ass from me for no modeling thing. Number one, you came to me. I mean, I immediately checked in. This is me. Listen, I was fiery. Okay. I was hyper reactive. I did a video before telling you it's not always good to be hyper reactive. Like, you need to calm down when you check in people sometimes, a lot of times. But back then I had no filter and I was just like, this old ass Uncle Fester looking dude is really gonna tell me one hand don't clap. I mean, to me, I was just like, ain't no time for no parables. Keep it straight. You want some ass from me after you was the one that sweat me during in the club? What? So he right away was like, he was perched up like, oh, you crazy. I'm like, yes, I'm crazy. Don't play with me. So I wasn't scared of being feared, but I could tell he was somewhat afraid of me to a certain extent. And I think he kind of looked at me as kind of like, oh, you rude, but not just rude, but crazy. So I told him to take my ass home. To take my ass home, deuces. But that's not the end of the story, but that's going to be my book. You got to buy my book when that comes out so you know the rest of that story. But he said, one hand don't clap. I said, let me get your hand. Let me get your hand. Let me get your hand. And I just slapped it across his cheek. I said, that sounds like a clap. That sounds like a... Yeah, don't play with me. So I was pretty straightforward with him. Like, that ain't going to go down. Go find another clown that you could play with. So I was very clear on my yes being yes and my no being no, and that was a hell no. And I didn't care if he was afraid of me after that. Well, he did see me after that. Something else happened after that. He didn't take me home right away. Again, it's in my book, but I did see him after that, and he literally, the same club, and he literally walked, when I say walked wide, like, first time I saw him, he kind of was trying to get my attention by pulling, taking my hand and kind of pulling me to. He saw me and he literally walked in the opposite, like he saw a ghost. Okay? Yeah. This is how your girl gets down. I don't play. So that was number 4. People are, number 4. Number 5. Reasons, the number 5 reason for boundaries being hard to set, or for, not being able to set boundaries. You don't value your peace of mind, which means you are in the world and wherever the wind blows, you're there. You have no need or idea that boundaries are necessary. The world and everything in it is yours. Which was my mother. Yeah. She liked the drama, she liked the whatever, and a lot of people who don't value peace or peace of mind, they like drama. So, you know, people who like drama usually don't have boundaries, standards, or expectations. They usually don't. Because if you had them, you wouldn't have drama. I mean, take for instance when you watch these reality shows. I mean, hello. Drama. Okay? There are no boundaries being exercised except for maybe physical boundary. But the minute most of the drama stems from what? Gossiping. You sharing something with one person and them not holding it and going and running back to the person who the thing was said about. And I mean, that's really the tone of or the plot for most reality shows. And I like most of them. Sorry, because, I only entertain the drama that I can control with my remote. Yes, or my phone. Turn it on, turn it off. Change the channel, whatever I gotta do. Any other drama is not welcomed over here. So, yeah. Um, so number 5 reason for boundaries being hard to set or not being able to set boundaries is that you don't value your peace of mind. So you love drama. You just love drama. That's you. So no boundaries for you. Number 6 is no self-awareness. Yes. Literally just have no clue why we are even stressed or have anxiety. Like for real. Like seriously. I used to have friends that would call me all the time, stressed the hell out, and then they're telling you all of the stuff that's going on, and then you're saying, time out, hold out, he did what? Your mother is saying what? People just show up to your house unannounced? Why you gotta do all of this stuff? Why are you burning out yourself? Oh, well, I love him. Or, oh, it's my mother. Oh, it's my sister. Oh, she needed a place to stay, even though she said it would only be for a night, but she's here 6 months later and I'm stressed out of my mind. But always have an excuse. And then try to make it seem like they don't know why they're stressed out. Like, hello, you people are that delusional. Well, delusion should be a reason, but I don't think I'd put it on the list. But we could probably put it with no self-awareness. So they don't know who they are. Most times, people who lack self awareness don't know who they are and accept just about everything. So, most of the time, these people are being told by other people how to be, how to navigate. And a lot of times, they're taking them for suckers. Oh, but it's your mom. Like what people try to feed me toxic positivity. Oh, it's your mom. You can't not speak to your mom. No matter what she does, you only get one mom. Okay, so if she, I don't know, tells me all kinds of negativity that really fucks me up for like a whole month, I should just tolerate her because she's my mom, right? Just tolerate her. No, I don't think so. Anyway, a lot of times people who have no self-awareness that they even need boundaries are dysfunctional people because they grew up in dysfunction. Yes, they did. I think my mom definitely was one of those people who grew up in dysfunction. So my mom grew up in a 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom house. I remember as a kid when I went there, I was scared shitless. I don't even think they had electricity. It was really like, ooh. And it was quite a few of them. And so again, no physical boundaries. So, I'm sure everybody knew what everybody's butt looked like and probably knew where every mole was on their body, even though I would only gone there during the day and it was dark inside that home. I don't know what. Anyway, just, yeah. So everybody knew everybody's business. Everybody was just talking. Oof. Mm-mm. But anyway, yeah. So, yeah, when you have dysfunctional people or yeah, no self-awareness. They don't know what is normal to them. Well, what is normal to most, dysfunctional people is, what did I write? What is normal to them is dysfunction to people of a sound mind. Right. That's what I said. So, I don't know, growing up in a household where your mom yells, your dad yells, talks down to you, mean to you, you grow up later, if you think it's normal, you may continue the pattern unless for some strange reason, like me, you figure out that's not normal, and I don't want to live this way anymore. And then, that whole self-awareness kicks in and you're like, wait, nope, I'm breaking out of this. Yeah. So that's how you develop self-awareness in that situation. Circumstances in this situation where people lack self-awareness, usually their circumstances made them who they are and they can't seem to get out of their own way. It's scary. Yes, it is. See my mom. But these people usually have a long way to go before they even realize they need boundaries, even after one tragedy after another. Yeah. And I have an example of the one tragedy after another. Most females I know that grow up in the church have suffered abuse, and I'm talking about sexual abuse in the church. And again, like I said, maybe it's the brain stain or the brainwashing, whichever is worse, that they went through that have caused them to still remain in the religion or church. I just can't see. There's no way I could have been affected in the church and still be a part of it and even married a pastor. I'm sorry. I'm just like, that is some next level trauma that I don't even know how to process. And I'm so happy that I'm not in that situation to have to process it, because that is, self-awareness is non-existent. I mean, I guess to me, if you're brainwashed, you have no self-awareness. Now that I think about it, none. That's not afforded to you. Self-awareness is not afforded to you. So I know one person that I'm still close to, that I talk to, and that was abused in the church, and she says she still struggles with boundaries. And I'm like, of course you do. You are in a cult and you don't even realize that. Again, no self-awareness. So number seventh reason why it's hard for people to set boundaries is when you think you're obligated to explain your boundaries. Yeah. And I've said it before. You do not owe any explanation to anybody about your boundaries. No is a complete sentence. Remember I said before that your yes be yes and your no be no. Anything further than that is of the evil one. We don't need to be explaining why we can't do something. Please, 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 why? You've done it before. Oh my God, I need somebody to watch my kids so I could go out. I need to drink. I'm losing my mind. I feel like I'm going crazy. No. You drink too much, maybe. I mean, that's me saying that, but in my situation, for me, I'll just be like, no. No. Perfect example. I'll give you a perfect example. When my mom passed away, and this whole notion of planning a memorial funeral was new to me, new to my brother. I've said this before on previous video, but I'm going to say it again just to reinforce number 7, when you think you're obligated to explain your boundaries, right? And newsflash, you don't have to. So The whole idea of me being responsible, it was me and my brother that was responsible. My mom put it down on paper to plan and execute her funeral memorial. I immediately went to my girlfriend, who is a pastor's wife, who's done many funerals. I gathered information from her, and I was getting ready to go meet with my brother so we could go over what his ideas were and we could come together. He had no idea of his own and started telling me about other people and what they wanted, which my mother did not ask for these people to be involved. My mother has been telling me since I was 13, 14 along those lines what she wanted, and nothing that these people were telling my brother was in line with what my mother wanted. So my answer to him every time he said, this person said, do this, I was like, no. Well, Uncle so-and-so said he wants to do this. I said, no. Well, Auntie said she wants it to be done by a certain time because she has to go out of town or out of the country. I said, no. For each no I gave him, he wanted a reason. And I said, because that is not what your mother wanted. Well, not for each, sorry. Maybe the first two, I said, that's not what your mother wanted. After that, I was just like, because it's just no. Because if I already said to you what your mother wanted, yes, she spoke to me about what she wanted. Sorry, she didn't talk to you. I don't know. She didn't talk to you. She didn't think you was able to do it. And clearly you weren't. You weren't equipped. Okay? I didn't even have to give him a reason because we already spoke about what she wanted. But I humored him. The first two no's. And he said, why? And I said, because that's not what your mother wanted. After that, it was just no, 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 no. Because none of his ideas were his. And all I wanted was his. He couldn't even humor me. I said, please, can you just come up with something that you want? A song, something. Like all those others. No, it's just no. So I wasn't seeking validation from him, which is why I didn't feel like I needed to go any further than the first two times when I said that's not what your mother wanted, or our mother. I wasn't trying to seek validation from whoever he was entertaining that had ideas. Listen, it's what our mother wanted. Okay? So if you're seeking validation for your boundaries, it is a defeatist attitude, meaning it's never going to work well for you, but it will always work for the interest of the person who is questioning you. And if you need their validation, oh, buck up, because again, like I said, setting boundaries, exercising them, reinforcing them, and maintaining them is not for the weak. Okay, it is not for the weak. So we have to be mindful that we do not owe or seek validation for our boundaries. Our boundaries is to bring us peace, even if at the time it seems like you're in a war with people because they don't like what you're saying. Oh, why you tell me no? Wah. Trust me, after all of that, you'll be at peace. Well, you should be, unless you're a people pleaser. And if you're a people pleaser, please seek therapy, because I can't help you. Because people pleasers, I usually tell them to go find therapy, because I don't have the patience. If you're a grown person and you're still seeking validation and you want people to like you, that's a deep issue that only God and a therapist can help you with. I'm not God or a therapist. So yeah, can't help you. Cannot. Don't have the patience or the time or the peace for that. Nope. So number 8, that was number 7. Number 8, people who overcompensate because of fear of not having love reciprocated or love withheld. So this usually happens mostly with children. So people usually overcompensate because of fear not having love reciprocated or withheld as a child. This one is also a very deep-seated one. I don't know which is worse. It's a form of people pleasing, of course, but it usually extends to a child or a real close family member, because the overcompensating part is because you yourself didn't feel valued or worthy. So here you come. And I think some of that kind of happened with me with my mom. That's why she feels like when she provided, and I think she kind of over provided because she wasn't. I never really looked at it as her overcompensating for not being there, because she did not want to be. She didn't want to be there. She didn't want to be a mother. Like. But I think she overcompensated because she felt like that's what value was. It was in things, material things. So she felt providing was like the ultimate. And she was a great provider. I mean, I appreciated the stuff she did. Maybe that's what makes me not be thirsty for labels and stupid shit that people go crazy over instead of what life is really about. So I appreciate her for that, but I still had to let her know, like, that was not your best, madame, but she swore it was. But so for most people who usually overcompensate, usually didn't receive love growing up. And I definitely don't think my mom received it growing up. So whether you come from a toxic family through, I don't know, some kind of substance abuse, I know a lot of times people who grow up in an alcoholic parent, usually they become the parent. The child becomes the parent. When you have an alcoholic parent, the child now becomes a parent, because now they have to end up taking care of you. And that is like one of the worst positions to be in. So a lot of times they are forced to grow up before, you know, they could even enjoy their own childhood. And they didn't receive that attention, love that is essential, right? So naturally, a lot of times they don't know what love is. They'll use material things or even their time to, do things for somebody, and they can overcompensate with their time too. Always picking up, taking them their kids places. And I remember this lady, for example, that I worked with. I didn't realize how crazy her childhood was. But she did everything for her children. I mean, the best schools, the best gifts, the best, everything was the best, the best, the best, the best, the best. She didn't tell them no. No was not even in her vocabulary when it came to them. And she finally told me that her mom was an alcoholic and she had to take care of her mom. So that was my first experience. But I've heard of that dynamic a lot since she expressed that to me. And it's the most unfair position a child could ever be put in. And a lot of times, the part that hurts the most too is when love is not only when love is not reciprocated, but when love is withheld. So, usually, when love is withheld, is again, say you have a parent who has a substance problem, and if they want a particular substance and you don't provide it for them, they will tell you, oh, if you don't do it for me, I'm not going to love you, or some kind of manipulation. Withholding love is manipulation from your child, or telling them, if you don't do so and so, I'm not going to give you this, or I'm not going to do this for you, or I don't know, you're a bitch, or whatever. So yeah, that's a reason for boundaries being hard to set, if you already have that. And again, People overcompensate because of fear of not having love reciprocated or withheld. That's therapy. Therapy. You need therapy for that. If you have identified any of these issues that I say require therapy, please seek therapy. You only be doing yourself a favor, trying to overcome these trials and traumalations. I just made up that word, traumalations. Number 9. We're up to number 9. Power dynamics at play. Yeah, this is another reason why boundaries are hard to set, exercise, maintain, or even enforced. Power dynamics at play. So your boss, again, your parents, your in-laws, people in high positions, doctor. I have a birthing story regarding that. I already gave the example of a modeling opportunity. Oh, this is where I was supposed to give my example of the modeling opportunity, but I already told you about that. I think that was like number 4 or something like that. One of those earlier numbers. So the power dynamics at play. Listen, even when I worked for a boss who treated me, well, he didn't really treat me any way worse than anybody else. He literally had an emotional problem. He was very emotional, like a big baby. But he was also unraveling because he was abused at home by his wife and his daughters, who took him for the simp that he was. And they walked all over him. So of course at work, where he's a manager, so he has some power that he feels he can exercise. He gets belligerent at times, and I'm just like, what is his problem? So he would yell and even try to talk down to. So if anybody's been listening to me from day one, I've told you that's one of the things my parents did to me: yell and talk down to me for no reason whatsoever. And it's not like that's all. It's not like they only know how to yell or talk loud. Like they're not hard of hearing. They just highly traumatized people. And so because of that, that was one of the boundaries I had to set with my mom, starting with her first, because she did it more than my dad. My dad did it, but not as much as my mom. And so when somebody does it to me, I don't care who you are, my boss, my whoever, I'm going to check you and let you know, do not speak to me that way. Listen, don't talk to me that way. Whoever you are, do not speak to me that way. So yeah, most people are not going to check their boss. Okay, if their boss is yelling at them, I've seen it even with males. I mean, I had a male friend at my job who I thought was very masculine, not toxic at all, just decent masculine man. And it was a VP at the time, so he's like the big guy of everybody. And I watched him talk down to my friend, and my friend did not once flinch or say to him, do not speak to me that way. As a matter of fact, out of all the males that were there, black and white and in between, this VP, vice president at the time, was Italian, and he was belligerent with almost all of the guys except one. There is one of them who happened to be my manager at the time, because I went through 3 different managers at that job that I was at for a decade plus 2 years, which is 12 years. I remember when the VP tried it with my manager at the time, not the whiny, belligerent one. And he checked and he said, don't you see me doing, like, he kept asking him for something, and he's like, do you not, like, if you keep breathing down my neck, it's not gonna happen. Like, the more you do it, it's not gonna make it happen faster. So could you stop yelling at me and let me do my job? And I was like, yeah. I mean, I literally, I mean, my whole body just was like, yes. Like, that's a man. My other friend happens to be African American, and I know it's hard for a black man to be talking back to a white man, but I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Like, even to say, relax, don't speak to me that way, or there's so many ways you can teach people how to treat you. You don't have to be like belligerent or be like, it's not going to get done now or whatever, whatever. Like the way my manager at the time said it. I mean, there's so many ways to let somebody know, you can't talk to me like that. Even with how I'm saying it, what are you doing? Don't talk to me like that. Now, a lot of times that ain't going to work because, like I've told you before, sometimes you really have to put some bass in your voice and be like, don't talk to me like that. No, I don't do that. But you really got to be like, don't speak to me like that. Who you think you're talking to like that? Don't talk to me like that. Like assertive. And I didn't put any bass in my voice, but I might have some bass in my voice. But either way, a lot of times this whole, nice way of approaching or setting boundaries, it doesn't always work. But even if you start out by saying, what are you doing? Like, don't talk to me like that. Because this particular VP had sent, there's a report that I normally do, and I would send the report out. He would be included, and everybody else would be CC'd on the report. One time I sent it out, it was a bad, because I would be doing the report on productivity. So when shit was low, and it's like people got their heads chewed off. It had nothing to do with me. This was all about the technical work that was being done, but I was the one that did the actual reporting of it. So he was mad. He didn't like to see all them raid and stuff that was on the report. And so he replied all, which meant he sent it to me and everybody else was CC'd. You see what he did there? And he had a bunch of exclamation marks and he was like, what the hell is this? And da 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 da, all caps and bold and I saw it and I was like, is he talking to me? Because it says to me, from him, and everybody else was CC. So, oh wait, no, he is talking to me. Like, I'm not stupid. I know how emails work. So instead of responding to the email, which I have done before, not to him, I said I'm going to go to his office and find out if he really talking to me, because I was heated. So actually, I did respond to the email. I'm sorry. I think I said, excuse me, is this for me or is this for everybody else? And I couldn't wait for his response. I think it took him a minute. So while I was on my way to his office, he was coming down and we bumped into each other and he started apologizing profusely. Okay? Before I could even speak, he was like, oh no, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean, whatever. He may have responded to the email. I don't remember because this is so many years ago, but I believe he said he had responded, and because I didn't, he said he responded to the email and he immediately came downstairs because he wanted to like apologize, which I believe he did. He cleared it up in the email or whatever. But I was kind of like, don't be yelling at me. So he even got the same woman I was telling you about who grew up with an alcoholic mother, and she was telling me about that dynamic of having, she was with him and he was like, tell her that that's not how I roll. I don't talk to women that way, and I'm not, and I really wanted to say, well, you go ahead and talk to men that way, but then again, that's men shit. Like, I'm not gonna get involved. If you're a man and you have a PP between your leg, you should have some form of testicular fortitude. Like, God gave you testicles for a reason. Like, have some fortitude. I'm just saying. So I was never gonna defend my friend and be like, well, why you talk to my friend so mean? Because he's a man, should be a man. But instead of him, back to my African American mate. So that situation with the VP was squashed. So here we go. Even though that power dynamic was at play, we're at number 9. I was still able to say, you will not communicate to me with no 6, 7, 10, even 2 exclamation mark is too much for me. Don't like, who are you talking to? He came down, he apologized, and he was respectful. Clearly, he didn't know he needed to take me off and just speak to the rest of the people or CC me and put it to everybody else. But yeah. So power dynamics at play don't work for like it. Listen, you like Dr. Phil has said, and I'm not a Dr. Phil fan, but first time I heard that man say, "You teach people how to treat you," it resonated and it has never left me. It has never left me. You teach people how to treat you. That those people in that place, including that VP, was so scared of me. After a while, not that moment, but after, because they realized I don't play. I don't. It's respect or no respect. Like, I don't play. So that's number 9. Power dynamics at play. Your boss, whatever. Most people are not going to stand up to their boss or tell their boss you're being disrespectful. Chill. Most people ain't gonna do that. And I'm not saying to do it the way I just said it. Pay attention to what I did in my situation. Okay? Don't be going up to your boss and what, chill. I had a birthing story as an example, but I think I'm gonna keep that for another time. That's definitely a very important story because I was in a very vulnerable situation and I'm telling the doctor, don't play with me. Yeah, I exercise boundaries while in labor with my daughter, and I'm telling the doctor, do not play with me. I sure did. Tell you, I don't know. God got me. That's all I could tell you. Look out for fools and babies, and I'm not a baby, so I must be a fool. But either way, it worked out. But yeah, because I didn't plan to give the VP example in the power dynamics. So yeah, another time for the birthing story. That'll come up because that's another reason why I don't trust doctors or like the medical industry. They are something else, and people are catching on. They're not the most honorable people. So if anybody's here in the medical field, sorry, but no, not sorry at the same time, unless you're one of the most ethical ones and still follow the Hippocratic law, which means do no harm, which says do no harm. Yeah, first do no harm. If you're first do no harm and you really mean that in the medical profession and you're here, you are welcome. Thank you so much. But if you're not, get out. Don't like you. Number 10, reasons why boundaries are hard to set. Lack of self-love, self-respect, and a value system of self. All of that is lack. Lack of self-love, lack of self-respect, and a lack of a value system of self. So I probably could have worded that a different way, but anyway, I'm getting to the 1 hour mark, so how am I gonna do this? But I'll figure out a way. But self-love is something I want to tackle in one of my videos because that ties into having boundaries for real. If you have self-love, everything I've said before that makes it hard to set a boundary is like they don't even exist. If you truly have self-love, let me tell you, there will be no reason for it to be hard for you to set boundaries. You will be setting boundaries like it's nobody's business. Like, I don't know, like welfare checks that come out on the first, but you'll be like every day with the welfare checks or whatever. Do they give checks or don't they put the money on a card now? I don't even know. Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. You be on it. I'm not a self-love expert. I know there are people in this thing called YouTube calling themselves self-love expert, and I've learned nothing about self-love from them. Not a damn thing. So I may be able to share some stuff about how I go about exercising my self-love. But so number 10, I think this might be the last one. I think I have more, but I'm gonna have to wrap it up. But lack of self-love, self-respect, and a value system of self. You don't think you are enough to deserve being treated right or peace. You don't think you deserve peace. Okay? Some people are their trauma, which means it's normal to live in a world of hurt, chaos, and confusion. Balance is not normal for them, and that's their journey. And again, I put my mother again. Like, again, when I said before about people growing up in dysfunction and stuff like that. If you grow up in dysfunction, I mean, forget about self-love and love, and I mean, everything is upside down. I mean, you're probably a degenerate morally, spiritually, just in so many ways. Probably. I'm not saying everybody who grew up in dysfunction is a degenerate. I said you probably are one. Um and if you're a degenerate, believe me, like, you know, the boundary you probably have is for somebody to not take your shit while you're taking other people's shit. I'm just saying. We have a saying, thief never love fisted teeth with long bag. It's kind of like saying jealousy. People don't like to see other people with more than what they have. So, yeah. But, um, so self-love, lack of self-respect, and a lack of a value system of self will definitely make it hard for you to be able to set boundaries. So I can't believe I passed the 1 hour mark. Oh my god. I am I think there's more, but let me see. Oh no, that was it. I think I ended at 10. Okay, well, yeah, that's good then. So I am glad that we got that out the way. But thank you so much for tuning in. If something has resonated with you, and you know, as far as why it's hard for you to set boundaries, start paying attention to something that resonated that you could easily look at and say, I gotta work on that, or I gotta talk to somebody about that. Because your your peace is important. Like, guys, come on, your peace in a time like this, peace should be paramount. So I am going to wrap this up. I'm going to thank you again for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. Again, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask them in the comments. I also have an email. You could email me some questions. If you need any kind of, I don't know, verification, clarification on anything, please make it be known to me. Thank you so much for listening, and tune in again for another exciting edition of Bright Boundaries. And take care. Did I say like, share, and subscribe already? If I didn't, please like, share, and subscribe, and turn on all of your notifications so you could be notified when I have new content. I'm getting it. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.